Rams fans, welcome in on this edition of Rams Showcase. The Rams' 2025 opponents are set, plus a peek into the Rams' record books. And later, it's playoff time. We preview Vikings at Rams. Let's rock.
This is Rams Showcase with your host, Sheriff Joe Bags.
Yes, welcome into it, Rams Showcase. My name is Sheriff Joe Bags, at Sheriff Joe Bags, at Rams Showcase, and ramshowcase.com. That's where you follow along on social media. Sweet news for you, as, of course, playoff time for the LA Rams. We'll get into that game preview, of course, here in a little bit. We also got a full slate of fan quesos for you on the back end and plenty to get into. Before we dive into it, though, just a heads up for you and a little bit, I guess, of a program note as a new show has officially begun, and I'm pumped about it, man. Teaming up with Tuna from the First and Tuna podcast. So we're doing a live stream every Tuesday, similar to the live stream that I was doing myself, but now teaming up with Tuna. So if you would like to check that out every single Tuesday, well into the off season as well, then what I'm going to need you to do is head over to Tuna's YouTube channel, First and Tuna. I will link it in the description, no matter where you can hear me or see me below, so follow up there. You can also check it out on the Ram Showcase Facebook page. We'll keep it the videos going there as well. So come join us as the Rams are going. We'll definitely be hitting the Rams conversations heavy. And then once the Rams are no longer playing football games, so just after the Super Bowl, then we'll dive into the rest of the NFL and kind of dive into league-wide news. So come join us and hang out. It's going to be an awesome time. But LA Rams, before we dive into all that good stuff, LA Rams got a football game going on Monday, which is a little unfortunate. I do hate the Monday time slot for a few reasons. First of all, that's a weekday. And come on, we all got to work. I'll be at work all day, and then I have to work the next day. Come on, man. And then also just the fact that we have to wait the longest of everybody. So we'll know what everybody else is up to, and then we still got a game to play. And then if we are able to pull off the win, then we got a short week the following week, which I'm sure they'd put us on Sunday, but still quite a bag of bummers, all right. But not a bag of bummers, the new opponents. We have those set for next season, so we can start making our plans. Of course, we'll get the schedule come April-ish time. They've kind of been putting it out a little late. Sometimes we've gotten it like early May. So either way, though, we'll be starting to make our plans. I know for myself, I will be going out. The plan is to go out to the Arizona game next year, hang out with my homie Singletee, and then obviously I try to get out to LA every year. So we'll see what happens. But the opponents that we already knew for the home slate were Saints, Buccaneers, Texans, Colts. So we knew all those. Now we know the Lions are going to be coming over to LA next season at some point. And then also for the road games, we already knew Panthers, Falcons, Eagles, Jags, and Titans. Now we know the Ravens as well. So we're getting those all slated up, like I said. The Ravens is an interesting one, man. I think it's 3 times in 5 years to play the Ravens. So for an AFC versus NFC situation, that is definitely kind of wild and not regular, but pretty cool because, one of those games was not very cool. And then, of course, we had that overtime loss last season, which was a very exciting game. So we'll see what happens, of course, the next go-round. But for anybody heading out to any games, of course, Carolina, Atlanta, Philadelphia, Jacksonville, Tennessee, and Baltimore will be on the hit list for next year. So should be a fun one. And, looking forward to getting the new schedule so that we can get all that going. But first things first, playoffs and, doing some more of these and all that good stuff. So let's get into it. Some stuff I wanted to kind of just touch on for the season is some kind of like some milestones that we got to see this year. But I also kind of wanted to just crack open those, those record books for the Rams. Blow off that dust and see where we're landing at with some of our current players right now. So we'll dive into that in just a second. But I would say that the Rams definitely are in a situation where we are not looking for a coach, but we might be looking for a coordinator. And I say that because Chris Shula has been doing a pretty dang good job on the defensive side. Has not been asked for any interviews yet, but I don't think it's impossible that does happen. And then also Mike LaFleur, we know that he's a guy that's kind of always in a situation where he might get a phone call. But then let's also not forget guys like Aubrey Pleasant, who could definitely be getting some phone calls for interviews and stuff. So no word yet, but we'll kind of keep our eyeballs on that as the Raiders, Patriots, Jaguars, Jets, Saints, and Bears all looking for the next man to head their teams. So could that be an Aubrey Pleasant? I think that Aubrey Pleasant would be a massive upgrade on any of these teams based on what they had last year. But ultimately, I obviously want to keep him. I'm a big fan. But that's kind of what we're just looking at now. I wouldn't expect any news on this. I mean, it's always possible that we see an interview happen or get a request for an interview. But as far as like any real movement here, we haven't seen anything yet. We haven't seen any of these teams kind of narrow it down. We haven't heard anybody's like, hey, we're down to 3 or anything like that. So it's definitely still unfolding. So we don't have those answers quite yet. But let's take a look at some of our players and where they're currently at, sitting in the record books and kind of what we've seen from this season and stuff. So let's go ahead and start. Quarterback Matthew Stafford, the 15th most passing yards in a single season in Rams history, hitting that this year. And I found number 15 being an interesting slot for this season, considering I felt like our passing numbers were way down. But also, there was no 5K passers in the NFL this season, so I do think that overall passing is a little bit down. Because we used to see 5K seasons like nothing. Like Brady, Breeze, Manning, those guys were just putting up 5K every year. We have an extra game now, and we're also known as a passing league, and we're not seeing any 5Ks. So, I mean, we did get one close, but, I mean, only like 4 dudes were 4,500 or above. So, I thought that was a little bit interesting, but would have been 15th for most in a single Rams season. Or it is 15th for Matthew Stafford. He also currently sits 6th in Rams history in passing yards, so creeping into that top 5, and currently 8th in touchdown passes. Just 2 touchdown passes behind the great Bob Waterfield. Only number 7 in Rams history. Good stuff. Kyren Williams, K-Dub, 12th most rushing yards in a single season in Rams history. It was just 6 yards short of Todd Gurley's biggest season as a Rams runner. So number 12 for K-Dub, actually looking really solid. 8th most rushing touchdowns in a season in Rams history with 14, record 18. So got pretty close to that, but 8th most in Rams history. 16th in yards in Rams history. That is overall for Kyren Williams already. He's still in his rookie contract, so beat number 16 is a little crazy. And 12th in the world of touchdowns on the ground for Kyren Williams. So obviously out here killing it. And playoff time, big time to run footballs and stuff. So K-Dub in a good spot heading into the postseason. Cooper Kupp. He is third in receptions right now. He is 235 short of second place, though. That's an overall situation for Cooper Kupp. He is 4th in yards, 1,985 short of third place. So needs a good 2K until we're talking third place for Cooper Kupp here. And he is also still 3rd in touchdowns, 17 touchdown receptions short of second place. Wide receiver Tutu Atwell set a single-season career high in receptions with 40. So good news for Tutu Atwell, definitely seeing his career kind of go in the correct trajectory. But 40 for his career high, obviously that's not like some kind of crazy number, but for where Tutu Atwell is at in the Rams depth chart, I think very respectable numbers. I still don't anticipate Tutu Atwell returning to the Rams. That's not because I don't want him to. I just don't think it happens. But good to know that he's heading in that right direction. Puka Nacua. He is tied for 24th in receptions right now in Rams history, tied with Lawrence McCutcheon, and he is 20th in yards in team history. He is right above Kenny Britt and right below Ricky Prohl. So cool stuff for Puka Nacua. 17 out here. I mean, obviously killing it. Already 20th in yards in team history. He was a rookie last year, guys. I mean, are you keeping up with this dude? This is crazy, man. Puka Nacua, though, I mean, obviously we know that guy's an absolute monster, man. Tyler Higbee, he passed Robert Woods, Bobby Trees for 14th most receiving touchdowns in Rams history, so sitting in that slot all alone officially now. He did tie it in his game back, of course. He is 9th in Rams history in receptions, and so that does mean we currently do have top 2 of the top 10 reception getters in Rams history currently on the roster. That's pretty sweet stuff. 13th in receiving yards in team history as well. These are also first in tight end for Tyler Higbee. He is 14th in touchdown receptions. Oh wait, I just talked about that. He just passed Robert Woods in that world. Demarcus Robinson tied for 38th in team history in touchdown receptions, and 38th. The reason I wanted to put this on here at all is because I just felt like being 38th for Demarcus Robinson, who is not like a long timer or anything like that. I just thought that was kind of impressive. Cool stuff there. Josh Carty, most points by a rookie kicker in Rams history, past Frank. Beat him by 1 point, so that's pretty cool stuff there. And then here we have Les Snead and Sean McVay. They reached 87 wins together as a duo. That is 19th all-time in NFL history, and they're right up there. Number 3 right now in active GM head coach combos with the 87. And they are currently, right now, tied, like I said, tied for 19th all-time. Currently tied with Vikings, Mike Lynn, and Bud Grant. So could be, taking over that combo this weekend, which is pretty sweet stuff, because that 87 does include playoffs. And Sean McVay with his 7 winning seasons. That is now officially most by a Rams head coach. So congrats to Sean McVay. Obviously one of the best, probably the best coach this team has ever seen. And I mean, I feel like every time I say that, people always kind of like push back on me. They're like, well, I mean, he's here now. It's like, well, yeah, but he's also the best we've ever had, man. Like, are you paying attention to what we've come from? Do you remember those 20 years or whatever it was before we got Sean McVay? It was pretty rough, all right? It was pretty rough, all right? And also with the just the team overall, won 5 straight road games in a season for just the 5th time in team history. So that's pretty cool stuff there. And first team to enter the bye week with a losing record and make the playoffs in back-to-back seasons. That, I feel like, is a statistic, a bit of information that has been pretty well covered, but I think it's just really cool because obviously being 3-6 last year, turning it around, going to the playoffs, winning 7 of the last 8, and then obviously we know this year 1-4 going into the bye week, which was such a moment. I mean, leaving SoFi Stadium after that Packers game, it really did feel like it was like a little demoralizing, but at the same time, man, as much as it was like, dang it, we're really 1-4 right now. It was still leaving there like, but we're also not healthy. We're not healthy at all. We don't have our guys back. Like it is like one of those things of like, we don't have 10 and 17. Our offensive line's still beat up. Like, we still need like D-Will back and stuff. And then we did that. And then obviously we know we're still talking about games, which is obviously good news heading into this portion of the season that we get to still talk about football. So obviously good stuff there. So that's just a bit of a snapshot on where some of your favorite Rams players are currently sitting in the Rams record books as the 2024 season. Wrapping it on up and heading into the postseason, where we still get football games, which is pretty sweet stuff. Just a little bit of an outlook for you as we dive into the playoffs, of course. Rams do end up with the number 4 seed, so, of course, playing the 5 seed this weekend. We'll get into that game preview here very soon. And if all NFC home teams win this week, which would mean 2 seed, 3 seed, 4 seed, which would be Philadelphia, Tampa, and your LA Rams, then the Rams would go to Detroit to play the Lions next week, but that's only if all home teams win this weekend in the NFC. And then if the Eagles and Commanders win, the Rams would go to Philly. If the Packers and the Bucks win, the Rams would go to Tampa. So, and then of course, if the road teams win as well, then the Rams still obviously will have lower seeds than us. So it'll be the same situation where we could maybe play at home, which would be kind of nice. I think that it can work out that way. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll figure it out when we get there. How's that sound? And then the Rams would only get a home game if both. I had the note here. I didn't even have to think about it. Past Joe coming in clutch. If the Rams would only get a home game if both the Packers and Commanders won, and the Rams would at that point play the Commanders, by the way. And just a few transactions to get into for you, as the Rams do officially place running back Blake Corum on IR. Very unfortunate for Blake to, first of all, truck the soul out of a dude, and then also in that same motion break his forearm. So that's really unfortunate, but I think that ultimately what we can take away from the Blake Corum rookie season is he's a very good player. We didn't really use him a whole lot. This injury is not something that should be leaking into next season, so we should get him ready to roll, ready to hit the ground running week one, even into training camp and stuff like that. We should be okay there. And another big plus is this is not a kind of injury that will totally just butcher up some conditioning or any kind of obviously he can't do every workout, he needs an arm for stuff, but obviously this isn't like an ACL where you can't even run or anything anymore. So he's at least going to be able to keep that stuff going. And we know for a running back, legs, big part of it. Having strong legs that, you can keep on pushing, obviously very big. But for Blake, ultimately, I think that we got to see that he fits in well on this offense and this team in general. And I think ultimately we just didn't really get to see enough of him, I would say. I wanted to see a lot more of Blake Corum than we got. But unfortunately, now his season has wrapped up. Rams also designate safety John Johnson for return from IR, and all indications say that he's already been healthy, just kind of been waiting to see what position grouping the Rams would pull back from the IR, having only that one slot left, but multiple players on IR that are able to come back. So did choose to use it on John Johnson, so wouldn't be surprised if he does play as early as this game, but we'll kind of see what the Rams are trying to do there personnel-wise. Because also we did see Kinchins go down with an injury, but I also think he's fine. So I'll be curious to see if we see John Johnson this week. Wouldn't be mad about it one bit. That dude's really good at football, and that's what we got going on Monday night. So it'd be good to have him in there. Also signed running back Royce Freeman, Rolls-Royce, to the practice squad. So he's back around for the Rams. That's a direct, obviously, domino that was originally kicked over from the Blake Corum injury. So that's why we bring in Royce Freeman. I would guess he makes his way onto the active roster, but I don't actually know that because also Ronnie Rivers and Cody Schrader, I think, have a good spot with the Rams where the coaching staff is fans, which is obviously big. And then terminated from the practice squad is safety Quindell Johnson. So he is no longer hanging around. But we've got a big old football game going on. Monday Night Football as the Minnesota Vikings coming to town. Most likely coming to town. We'll get into all of that here as we dive into the number 5 seeded Minnesota Vikings coming down, take on the number 4 seed Los Angeles Rams for Wild Card Weekend. Full game preview. It's next on Ram Showcase. Welcome back, Ram Showcase. I am Sheriff Joe Bags. The Los Angeles Rams, the number 4 seed of the NFC, taking on the number 5 seed Minnesota Vikings, who ended the season with a 14-3 record and still a wild card team. Your Rams sitting at 10-7. This game kicks off at SoFi Stadium, 5:15 p.m. On Monday Night Football, ABC and ESPN. We get Joe Buck and Troy Aikman on the call. Lisa Salters and Laura Rutledge will be on the sideline. You radio listeners, we do appreciate you. JB, MJD, and DFAR, they will be broadcast, of course, on ESPN 710, as well as Westwood 1 this week. So pretty big stuff there. You bettors, Rams are plus 1.5, plus 100 on the money line, and 47.5 is your over-under. Heads up, if you are planning on going to the game, there is a contingency plan in place due to the fires going on in the Los Angeles area. If you are affected by these fires, we are certainly thinking about you. If there's anything that I can do to help out, I'm in Colorado. If there is anything I can do, hey, feel free to let me know, man. If there's, some GoFundMes or something I can share, definitely let me know about it. Any way I can help, I'm willing to. I'm just not sure what I can do at this point. But either way, the game announced by the NFL, the game will happen on Monday Night Football. But if the fires do impact it, the game's ability to be played at SoFi Stadium, the game will be moved to Arizona. And the Rams will be having a home game, a home playoff game in the Arizona Cardinals Stadium. So if that is something that if you are going out to the game or anything, you're in the area getting impacted by this, obviously that's something that we're keeping our eyes on. I will say, not being from the area and also not being in the area right now, I don't know the situation on how close it is to the stadium or anything. From what I've seen online, the stuff that I have looked up, it doesn't look like it's very close to the stadium. But obviously, lots of things can happen, and I think that air quality will be a concern as well, not just flames. You know what I mean? So if the air is too bad to be in the area, obviously, I think that the NFL would potentially do something about that as well. So just a heads up, though, contingency plan is in place due to the fires that are going on in Southern California. Also, this is the first playoff game at SoFi Stadium since the Super Bowl, which is rather cool stuff. First official home game for the Rams since the NFC Championship game, however. That was technically a road game for the Rams in the Super Bowl. Technically. All right. I know it's our stadium and stuff, but yeah, that was technically a road game. So officially the most previous home game for the Rams in playoffs, coming in that NFC Championship game, defeating Jimmy Garoppolo in the 49ers. What an exciting day that was, man. Holy moly, that was exciting. Good stuff. Rams also, by the way, were the 4 seed in that Super Bowl run, that 21 season. So pretty cool stuff there. Rams under Sean McVay are 7-4 in the postseason, 56-58 all time, though. I believe that was the right number. Is it 56 or was it 26? 20? One of those. Both teams, by the way, coming into the postseason off of a loss, though. The Rams did sit their starters last week, or the bulk of their starters last week. Minnesota Vikings, though, did not, as they were actually playing for the number 1 seed. Lost 31-9 to the Detroit Lions for that top seed. Ended up having to go on the road. So, yeah, for a game that definitely meant a lot, not only confirming that throughout the playoffs, you will get to play at least those 2 home games as long as you keep winning, or you go on the road and you're a wild card team, like you get home games and a week off, or you have to go on the road and play largely road games throughout the playoffs if you continue to win. And Minnesota Vikings came in and did not have a strong showing in that game last week against the Detroit Lions. So I think Detroit showed us a little bit about how you can slow down this Vikings offense. So hopefully, that's going to pop up in tape, obviously, but hopefully take a couple of them pages for ourselves in this one, you know what I mean? Vikings did have a 9-game winning streak before that loss to the Detroit Lions, which had actually started the week after they played our Los Angeles Rams. So they lost to the Rams, and then last week lost to the Lions, won every game in between that, though. It's a big loss last week, though. We talked about 31-9. That's a massive difference there. And then the previous 2 games for the Minnesota Vikings won by a combined 5 points. That was against the Seahawks and the Green Bay Packers. Rams, by the way, 5-4 at home on the season. Vikings are 6-2 on the road. Of course, one of those losses coming at SoFi Stadium to the Rams. Vikings were swept by the Lions and then also lost to the Rams, meaning that the Vikings could be losing 4 total games this season to just 2 teams, which is, I don't know what you take from that. I don't know how you can take that as a Vikings fan. I don't know if you take that and kind of hang on to it. We only lost to 2 teams. It's yeah, but in the playoffs, does that still hurt? Yes, it does, probably. Let's take a look at the history of this. So we'll talk about the most recent meeting between these two because that happened this year. That was in Week 8, Thursday Night Football. Rams coming out on top 30-20. 4 touchdown passes coming from Matthew Stafford on that day. The Vikings scored touchdowns on their first 2 drives, but then just scored 6 points. So I know a lot of Vikings fans are going to comment or have commented about the final play, the final offensive play for Minnesota in that game. Byron Young getting the safety. A lot of people are commenting on that one and saying yeah, well, what would have happened if they would have called it? It's I don't know. We'll never know. It may be nothing, probably nothing, because the Vikings have scored 6 points after their first 2 drives. I don't think I had a lot of trust in the Vikings' ability to move the football all the way down the field. Even if you do get that face mask, you probably just get, I mean, do you? I don't know. That's the thing, is we'll never know that answer. But 6 points after those first two drives, I think, is the argument against it. It's like, no, they weren't going to do it. Like, they were not moving the ball at all, really, after those first two drives. It was 14-14. Both teams scored on their first two drives, and the Rams were able to put a lid on that Minnesota offense. Kyren Williams on that day had 23 carries for 97 yards and a receiving touchdown. So obviously 23 carries, that is definitely something we'd like to see again from Keita Bukanakua. Had 7 receptions for 106 yards, coming back into the action there. That was about when he had come back. Was that his first? I don't remember his first game back, but it was about then that he was getting back into the swing of things. Demarcus Robinson, D-Rob, had 2 touchdowns on this day. That was exciting stuff. Sam Darnold had 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and threw for 240. Aaron Jones, 19 carries for just 58 yards. So Rams did a good job on the ground attack on the defensive side there. Justin Jefferson, 8 receptions for 115 yards. We did have D-Will that day as well, so he was back in the action. But that was all this past game. This is the 49th all-time meeting between these two teams. The Vikings do lead the all-time series 27-19-2. The Rams have won the last 3 against the Vikings. Before that, though, the Vikings had won 5 straight. First ever game between these two came on November 5th of 1961. The Rams won that game 31-17. The most recent, Week 8, we just talked about that one. And this is the 8th postseason meeting between these two teams, with the Minnesota winning the bulk of them here. We'll just run through them here. So 1969, the Western Conference Championship, 23-20 Vikings. 1974 NFC Championship game, that was 14-10 Vikings. 1976 NFC Championship game, that was 24-13 Vikings. 1977 had a divisional game, that was 14-7 Vikings. 1978 had a divisional game, that was 34-10 for the Rams. 1988 had a wild card game between these two, 28-17 for the Vikings. And then the 1999 season, you might remember, was a pretty fun one. Game played officially in 2000, though. That was a divisional game, 49-37 for the Rams. And almost pinnacle, like, greatest show on turf kind of, offensive just explosion in that game. The way that just, both teams were just going off on offense. 5 touchdown passes to 4 touchdown passes. I'm trying to remember some of the crazy plays. I remember Bruce's touchdown in that game. Yeah, just, high-flying action. In, like I said, pinnacle greatest show on turf kind of antics coming out of that offense in that game, which was obviously wildly exciting. Had the following week had a game of very low numbers. Was that 13-9 or what? Was that the final? Man, I don't know why I'm blanking on that one right now. It was that Bucks game, which was crazy as well. But what a fun playoff run that was. But a 49-point performance from the Rams in that divisional game, of course, going on to eventually win the Super Bowl that year. Great times. Since that last playoff game, which was in January of 2000, the series is tied at 6-6. So nothing too wild happening. But like I said, Rams have won the previous 3. Hoping to keep that streak alive. Let's head over and take a peek at the matchup here. This is the Rams offense going against that Minnesota Vikings defense. The Rams on offense, about middle of the road here, 15th in the league, going against the middle of the road defense out of the Minnesota Vikings, ranking 16th. Passing the rock, Rams are a top 10 unit, although those numbers have dwindled over the last month or so, going against the 28th ranked pass defense for the Vikings. Running the rock a little under 104 for the Rams. That's 24th in the league, going against the number 2 ranked run defense out of Minnesota. Points being put up a game, about 21.5 for the Rams. That's 20th in the league, and going against the Vikings, giving up 19.5. That is 5th. And on third down, the Rams converting 36.8. That's tied for 23rd in the league. And the Vikings defense giving up 35.6. That is 4th in the NFL. So on the ground and on third down is definitely where the Vikings are making their money. They can get got through the air. So that is something to think about for sure. And especially I think that you have to kind of consider for the Rams offense is that under Matthew Stafford, there was multiple games in a row under 200 passing yards. That's a big difference, you know what I mean, from what we saw in like the 21 season where it was like anything under a 300-yard game was like, oh, well, what's going on with Stafford? Is he okay out here? And now we're like 181 and we're like, he's fine. I don't know if I'm gaslighting myself or you, but either way, I do trust him, you know what I mean? Because coming off of a week where we got to have him rest up, I think that was huge. He did look a little bit like he needed to take a break. And also, let's not forget, our bye week was super early. We were in week 6 for our bye week. So it's been a while since these guys have had a break. So that was really huge, I think, to get guys like Matthew Stafford a break, Kupp as well. Nakua, it's good to get anybody just a little bit of a breather. We're getting into January football now. Everyone's exhausted and beat up. So to be able to rest your starters for a week, I think is absolutely huge. We obviously know that Minnesota couldn't do that because they were trying to get the number 1 seed, failed at doing so, and in the process also gave us a sweet blueprint on how to beat them, which on the offensive side for Detroit was really just a lot of bullying, which is something that we have seen from Minnesota throughout the season, is that front is able to get bullied. I know that they have the number 2 ranked run defense here, but ultimately, any game that I have watched of Minnesota, and I have watched a good chunk of them, I've got plenty of Vikings fan friends, and I watch a lot of football, but every time that I've watched them, it kind of just feels like that defensive line is able to get God. There, you can push them back, and our starters on the offensive line, getting all 5 in there now, for only really the second time, that's going to be really nice to get everybody, well, not offensive line second time, but second time all season we get our starters on offense all together. So that's obviously big news. One cool thing here is I thought this was an interesting little stat here. Harrison Smith playing in his 200th career game on Monday Night Football. That's pretty cool stuff. Harrison Smith had that cool hat, said "Make football violent again." I just remember that from years ago, and I was a big fan of that. That's all. Yeah. Week of rest, though, for the bulk of the big names last week, like I had mentioned. That's obviously absolutely huge. And second official game having all 11 starters back on offense. So we got Higbee back. We had that for one game, and then Havenstein got hurt in practice. So we haven't seen him back on the field since. We'll be playing on Monday Night Football. So we have all of our 11 starters playing and good to go now, which is kind of crazy heading into the playoffs. I'll definitely take it. You know what I mean? Rams offense has seemed very pulled back since the Buffalo Bills game as well. So I'm looking to see a little bit more creativity out of this team. Not take everything that we've seen in December and forget about it. Okay. Just, or the whole regular season, just dump it from your brain. Okay. Because it doesn't matter anymore. All right. I don't care that the Rams were 24th in running the football. They could go off for 350 this week. You know what I mean? And that's what I mean by that, of throw that out. Just because your averages are sitting in a certain spot doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen. And especially you get into the playoffs with an experienced staff like the Rams do have, and veterans who have done this before on the offensive side. I think that ultimately we should see more creativity in this game. And like, we haven't seen like really jet sweeps since the Bills game, stuff like that. I'm expecting this offense to be a lot more creative, a lot more flashy, a lot more fun this week than we've seen in previous weeks. Best matchup that I've got for you on this one for the Rams offense going against that Vikings defense, I'm going Byron Murphy and Stephon Gilmore going against Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. Look for this to mismatch throughout the game. Obviously, we're going to see Murphy on Nacua and Kupp, and then vice versa. So we're going to see a good mix in that world. But this is a great matchup for just a strong secondary of the Vikings, and you could, again, rankings, you throw them out of here. They've got good players there. But I think that ultimately we got some really proven route surgeons that they're going to be asked to defend, and I like our matchup here, actually. Byron Murphy and Stephon Gilmore, definitely not bad corners, but Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, give me that combo over any other combo that's in the NFL right now. And yes, I'm still taking Cooper Kupp today over most receivers in the NFL. I understand that it is very much what can you do for me, not what have you done for me, but I still think that Cooper Kupp is capable of just going off at any moment. I think that we might see a playoff Kupp kind of pop in this week as well. So that's kind of what I'm looking for in this one. That's why I'm giving this the best matchup. And it's also always possible that Stafford has one of those days, you know what I mean? And just absolutely just goes off and is just nailing it. No looks, just absolutely just spotting it up down there, man. So we can absolutely see that as well. But Murphy and Gilmore, worthy adversaries, man. Worthy adversaries. This should be a fun one to watch unfold. 3 to see on the Rams offensive side. We're going to start with K-Dub, Kyren Williams. Williams went for 61 yards on 13 carries in the Rams Wild Card game a year ago against the NFC North Detroit Lions. So nothing too crazy last year, but I'm looking for McVay to get a little bit more run heavy, as it is likely the focus this week to win time of possession. I would assume that you want to keep, Darnold and Jefferson and all those guys, Aaron Jones, keep those guys on the sideline. We don't want you out here. You know what I mean? So time of possession, I feel like, is going to be big in this one. Kyron's been playing some really, really good football, and with a week off, hopefully, you know what, just getting that stamina back, man, getting those legs a little bit freshened up and ready to just play 4 more, dude, just 4 more games. That's all we need, man. Fell 1 yard short of 1,300 on the year with a 4.1 average. Solid average coming out from K-Dub. And I will say this. I feel like Kyren Williams getting anything less than 18 carries in this game needs to be considered a crime. I think that we have to just go ahead and, especially Corum's out, so we know that K-Dub is our guy. I think that anything under 18, we need to have some police, called if this is going to be a thing, Next up, I'm going to package one here, all right? This is a unit. Puka Nacua Cooper Kupp. That is a unit. Kupp does lead the franchise in wild card receiving yards, as well as receptions, actually. No one's ever lit up the wild card round like Cooper Kupp has, man. Kupp's numbers definitely struggled this season, especially late in the season. We had a game where he didn't even get a reception, But let's not pretend like it's not possible that he and Stafford just go off at any moment. They're still Stafford and Kupp, you know what I mean? It's not like Kupp is playing in a way where it's like, oh, he doesn't have it anymore. We're not seeing him run routes anymore where it's like, oh, he used to be able to run that route, now he can't. You know what I mean? Like, it's still happening. He's still doing all the stuff. He's not getting the targets, which I do think is not getting enough credit in the situation of Cooper Kupp not getting the statistics like he used to. The targets are not there. But also, I don't know if you guys have heard, this Puka Nacua kid, pretty dang good also. So the targets going that way should not be hurting any feelings anywhere. I don't know. Maybe there aren't any, except for random fans that are getting their feelings hurt because Cooper Kupp is not getting the receptions. But I'm sure he's fine. You know what I mean? But either way. Speaking of going off at any moment, though, Puka Nacua, dude. Puka Nacua, man. He does that all the time. And if Kupp isn't the guy, and if he's not doing it, Puka Nacua's there. And if Cooper Kupp isn't getting the receptions, which, whatever. I mean, the only stat that I truly care about on Monday Night Football is the score. I don't care if we have 4 rushing yards and 6 passing yards the whole day. So with 2-0 victory for the Rams, I'm in. I'm all for it. I don't even care. We'll worry about the next one the next time. But either way, I really like both these guys, man. I really like them shining in the postseason. I think is ultimately what I'm getting at here. I like Kupp and Nacua to walk into the playoffs with a different vibe. So that's what I'm looking for in this one. And speaking of, people walking into the playoffs with a different vibe and leaders really shining when they need to shine, give me tight end Tyler Higbee. That's right, man. Big Rig Higgs, another team leader, man. So him just being out on the field, I think, is massive for this team. Not only is he obviously a solid combo with Matthew Stafford, but the way he's able to run block as well, top tier, dude. Top tier. Big fan of Tyler Higbee, Big Rig Higgs. That's absolutely awesome. He got to play last week as well, so he was not one of the starters that was held out. But I think that he's still getting back into it, which is totally reasonable. He was hurt all year, got hurt in the wild card round last year. Kirby Joseph, we all know he hates tight ends. He goes after him and stuff. So just kind of interesting. Obviously, we're seeing him come back, Tyler Higbee, that is, come back into the fold now. I liked him playing last week. Keep that rhythm going because I feel like now is about the time where he should be like, okay, I'm back in my groove. And now we're into the playoffs, so it's good timing. Unless he's not. then obviously we're going to look at that. But I think that ultimately we're in a good spot right now, timing-wise, with Tyler Higbee getting back into the action. And your advantage here going for the Rams offense going against the Vikings defense, I am giving the advantage here to the Rams. And maybe that's because I'm a Rams fan, and so be it. This is my show, and I'll do what the hell I want. And second of all, it's because I really do just believe in this team. I believe in the Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Tyler Higbee combo. I believe in Kyron Williams being able to torch it up on the ground. I also like this Rams offensive line to bully the Vikings defensive line. We've seen it happen multiple occasions this year, and I think that the Rams are one of those teams that has the personnel to do it as well. So that's what I'm looking for in this one. I'm giving the advantage to the Rams offense. I think that points will be scored in this one by both sides in fairness, but the Rams offense, give me that over the Vikings defense. Let's flip over to the other side. This is the Vikings offense going against the Rams D. Vikings offense is a top 12 unit in the NFL. The Rams defense, 26th in the league, so not crazy numbers there, but I would say improving over the last month or so. Passing attack for the Vikings, 6th in the league, going against the 20th ranked pass defense for the Rams. Running the rock, almost 110 for the Vikings offense. That's 19th in the NFL, and going against the 22nd ranked run defense from the Rams. Those numbers, I wouldn't say necessarily skewed, but there's like 2 games that really spiked that number. And then points being put up, top 10 for the Vikings offense, ranking 9th, 25.4, and the Rams defense is 17th, 22.7 given up. The Vikings offense is converting 40% of their third downs, that's 12th in the league, and the Rams giving up over 40, that's 20th in the NFL. So nothing too crazy here. Defensively, I think for the Rams, when we're looking at the numbers and the rankings, we're obviously taking a look at the entire season, and I also just don't think we can look at the let's go week 2 Rams against, the Rams today. That defense, basically day and night, basically a different unit back then. Because you look at like week 2, and I'm thinking of that Arizona game where, Verse and Fisk in their second career games, Kobe Turner in his second game as a captain, Byron Young, obviously second game, second year, stuff like that. And a bunch of just young secondary players. We didn't have, Darius Williams, Akello wasn't here, like stuff like that. So obviously just a very different situation for the Rams defense in the early portion of the season. So I think that when we're looking at the rankings of this, you do got to take that into consideration. And I do think take a look at maybe like the last 4 or 5 or so games where there are some big performances in there. You take a look at like the Buffalo Bills game, stuff like that. But then there's also some really good performances where the Rams had 3 straight games not giving up double-digit points. That kind of stuff is obviously really, really solid. So when we're taking a look at these rankings, and I mainly talk about this for the Rams defense, that it's kind of hard to put too much stock in like the fact that the Rams are 26th in total defense. It's like, well, yeah, they are, but I mean, they're playing a lot better than they had been most of the year right now. So take that into consideration. Sam Darnold last week had a pretty rough day against the Detroit Lions. They were just in his face all day long. He went 18 for 41 against Detroit last week. So obviously pressure is a situation that we're looking at. If the Rams are able to pull off some really exotic blitz packages or just be able to generate pressure without blitzing, which is something that the Rams can do with the fearsome 2024-some up here. But to get into the face of Sam Darnold, I think is step 1. That is number 1 at the top of the list of the defense. Get into Sam Darnold's face. Number 2, do what you can to get Jefferson out of the game. Do what you can. Let those other guys beat you. Let an Addison beat you. Let Jones go, but don't let Jefferson do it. You know what I mean? Because if we're letting Addison and Jones be the guys, I still think that the Rams would be able to outduel that. But you throw in a Justin Jefferson in there, and all bets are off, dude. That guy is crazy. So obviously that makes it a little bit of a different situation. And he and Darnold have been playing well together. Last week, again, just nothing that crazy. He started looking a little bit frustrated, and once they cut to a really sweaty Justin Jefferson on the sideline, and he's got his anger face on, it's game over, dude. The Vikings lost. So you can pull that off, dude. I like it, man. But defense for the Rams, definitely still super, super young, but I think that they've played absolutely great football. I think that John Johnson potentially coming back into the fold is undervalued at this point, even by Rams fans. I don't think this is getting enough, airtime. And maybe it is. Maybe I've been at work all day, and maybe I don't know what everybody else is talking about. Okay, so maybe it's being hit totally respectably, but I think that it's I just haven't seen a lot on it. And John Johnson, before he got hurt, he was playing like one of the best safeties in the NFL. So I pumped to get him back in the action, man, for sure. Rams front also has a chance to just get after Darnold, which is exactly how we know that's how you get to him. That's how you mess with him. That's how you make him have a rough day. You just mess with him all day long. And if you're not quite there, push him down still. You know what I mean? Just be there. Make him feel you all day long. And that's going to be massive for not only the Rams, obviously, in a way to win a football game, but secondary as well is very opportune. So I don't think it's impossible that we see some hurried passes from Darnold that potentially get picked off, man. So, but step one, got to get into his face. But Justin Jefferson, definitely one of those guys. He is just one of those guys. He may go off. Just don't let him and others go off on you. That's really it. Because if he's doing it and Addison's doing it, then, I mean, that's when you're going to run into some problems for sure. Best matchup in this one. We're going to hit Justin Jefferson pretty heavy in this one. D-Will versus Justin Jefferson. All right, that is definitely the big matchup here. Williams was back for the Rams before that game against Minnesota earlier in the year in Week 8, Thursday Night Football. But that was also a long time ago. D-Will has had a bit of an up and down season. He's had games where you're like, this guy's on fire. And then he's had some times where you're like, you're a starter? Man, what are you doing out here? But either way, I like Darius Williams a lot, man. I'm pumped to have him back with the Rams for sure. But it has definitely been a bit of an up and down season. His tackling is where I think that he really comes into play this week big time. Obviously, when Jefferson's getting that ball, you at least got to get him down right away. He's been able to pull off some crazy stuff, though, man. So obviously, that's a tough task, man. Tough task covering one of the best in the NFL in Justin Jefferson. Let's not call it, let's not dice it up because we're going against, he's our opponent this week. He is one of the best in the NFL. There's no way to dance around that. So obviously, he's going to be a big target for the Rams defense this week. But just, force the Vikings to use their other tools. Force the Vikings to pull out the other guys as well. If Johnny Munt is doing some damage to us, then so be it. Just don't let it be Jefferson all the time, man. Because if it's Johnny Munt, chances are we're probably playing pretty good football, man. So doing okay. Take a look at the 3 to C on the Rams defensive side here. We're going to start with Jared Verse. It's so easy to put him on here every week because he's so sick, dude. So sick. Numbers definitely dwindled as far as sacks go, especially over the course of the season. Had one week 1, I had, 1.5 against Minnesota in the first game. 4.5 on the year, though. So nothing too crazy for Jared Verse sack-wise. But I think that that's largely in part to the attention that he's been getting over the course of the season. A lot more eyeballs going over to his side. A lot more help. Those left guards creeping in this way a little bit more, not so much on the inside, which is exactly where I think Braden Fisk is just lighting people up because it's like, who do you go for? There's only wrong answers. You know what I mean? Like you can't pick right because whoever you pick, the other one's going to kill you. So, I mean, obviously, good stuff there. But Jared Verse, man, the athleticism that we see from Jared Verse is sometimes insane. Sometimes the way watching him get off the line and bully some people. Sometimes like, God dang, man. Like, stop being so rude to these guys, Jared. But obviously, we love to see it. Be as rude as you want to this time, man. It's playoff time, so hell yeah. But yeah, Verse had a second half against Minnesota in the first meeting, and we'll be looking to do some damage against Cam Robinson this go around. So they, of course, oh man, I'm blanking on the name now. Oh, man, who is their great left tackle? He's really good. Either way, he got hurt against the Rams in their last game, and then they traded for Cam Robinson. And I like Cam Robinson. I think he's really good. I've only really heard from one Vikings fan, and he's saying he doesn't like him. I don't know. I like Cam Robinson. I think he's a really good player, and I think that this specific person I think is just being too critical on Cam Robinson. It's like, dude, that's a guy you traded for middle of the season. It's like, cut him some slack, man. But Jared Verse going against Robinson all day should be a good matchup for the Rams. I like that. Next up, Darius Williams, dude. Give me D-Will, man. Big task for him this week. As a bad day from Darius Williams could mean the last game for the Rams this season, and I kind of do mean that. I know it's a team sport, but if we can't cover Justin Jefferson, it's gonna be a rough day, man. That guy is able to kill your game for sure. So Darius Williams, definitely a player to keep your eyes on this week as going against one of the best in the NFL. Like I said, I'm not going to just hammer that the whole time because I still hope he fails miserably this weekend. But I think it goes back to that quote from Sean McVay of like respect, not fear. You know, like I respect Justin Jefferson. I'm not afraid of him. Because first of all, he's not going to do anything to me. But also, I mean, I respect him, man. He's a good player. So, and last up here on the 3 to C, I'm going to go to Michael Hoyt, one of the only defensive players who was here for the Super Bowl run. We don't have that many left. There was only a few. Michael Hoyt, though, being one of the studs from that season, looking for Hoyt to be one of the guys that can get the sideline rolling a bit. If there's a situation where, fourth quarter, we're down by 4, I'm looking for a camera to switch over to the sideline and Michael Hoyt be on the sideline yelling at everybody to get everybody fired up, man. So I like Hoyt in this one, specifically because of his experience with the Rams and going back to things that we saw in like before the season started when Michael Hoyt I don't even remember the show. I think it was probably Behind the Grind, where he's sitting there with Jared Verse and Byron Young and Kobe Turner and Braden Fisk. He's sitting there with these guys. They're all getting dinner and stuff like that. I think he was grilling and stuff, and he was saying he's like, it's worth it, man. It is worth it to get there, to push, to work, and to go all the way to win the Super Bowl. It is worth it. And he's telling this to these guys, and I'm hoping and thinking in the world of Michael Hoyt which is such a team player, such like a Ram through and through. I like Michael Hoyt this week to bring that conversation back up and be like, remember guys, I was talking about this of like it's worth it to do this. It's worth it to bust your ass, get after it, man. To win that Super Bowl, it is worth it. So I'm hoping that kind of energy comes in again. From we saw it in August. And now we get to see it in January. Dude, sign me up, dude. I'm getting more fired up as I talk. It's going to be so fun, man. How are we supposed to wait the whole time, dude? Last game of the weekend, NFL? Stop doing this to me. And why does Houston always get the first one, man? What are we doing out here? Anyway, let's move on. Let's look at some connections here. Some former Rams who are now on the Vikings. We'll start with wide receiver Brandon Powell. Beat Powell. Had that punt return for a touchdown against Minnesota a couple years back for the Rams. That was rather exciting stuff. Tight end Johnny Muntz. Running back Cam Akers. The Vikings have officially traded for Cam Akers 2 times now, so they really like him. That's cool stuff. Wide receiver Tristan Jackson. He is on the practice squad of Minnesota. Head coach Kevin O'Connell, KOC. He was with us, of course. Special teams coordinator Matt Daniel. Fitz Phillips. Assistant inside linebackers coach Thad Bogardus. Defensive line coach Marcus Dixon, and senior offensive assistant Chris O'Hara all have spent time with the Rams. There are no former Vikings on the Rams. Keep those dweebs off our roster. Some NFL connections for you. Darius Williams played in Jacksonville with Cam Robinson, as well as Shaq Griffin. Cam Curl played in Washington with Fabian Moreau, safety Bobby McCain, and tight end Sammis Reyes. Hunter Long played in Miami with wide receiver Trent Sherfield Sr., offensive linebacker Andrew Van Ginkel, linebacker Calvin Munson, and defensive coordinator Brian Flores, who did just get an interview. I don't remember where, though. I like Flores, though. I think he's a great coach. Matthew Stafford played in Detroit with wide receiver Brandon Powell, as well as tight end TJ Hawkinson. D-Rob, DeMarcus Robinson, played in Baltimore with tight end Josh Oliver. And Kevin Dotson and Akello Witherspoon, they played in Pittsburgh with Brian Flores. He was the senior defensive assistant and linebackers coach at that point. So obviously not working super close with K-Dot, but they were in the building and stuff. You get it. And some college connections for you. D-Rob, DeMarcus Robinson played at Florida with Jonathan Bullard and Brandon Powell. Josh Carty played at Stanford with tackle Walter Rouse. And then KT Leviston played at K-State with Dalton Reisner. AJ Jackson played at Iowa with tight end TJ Hawkinson. Tyler Johnson played at Minnesota with Blake Cashman. Tutu Atwell, the 2-2 train, played at Louisville with Jonathan Grenard. Omar Spates played at Oregon State with Blake Brandel. Byron Young, Jalen McCullough played at Tennessee with Theo Jackson and Ty Chandler. Let's see here. Kobe Turner played at Wake Forest with Michael Juergens, who is a backup, so probably not going to see that matchup, although that would be so sick. Puka Nacua played at Washington with defensive lineman Taki Taimani, I'm pretty sure. Puka Nacua also played at BYU with linebacker Max Tooley. And finally, tight end Tyler Higbee played at Western Kentucky with wide receiver Lucky Jackson. That's your connection, and that is your game preview. Minnesota Vikings at the Los Angeles Rams for a wild card weekend, super wild card weekend, getting the Monday night time slot, which I'm going to write the NFL. I think I hate this. I hate it. It's a weekday. Playoff games shouldn't happen on the weekdays. In fact, we should minimize weekday NFL action as much as possible. Yes, I'm talking to you, Thursday night football. I hate you. Most of the time. Most of the time, I hate that. So this last time it worked out for us because we played the 49ers and then we had a little bit of a mini bye before going out to the Jets. And that was kind of nice, I suppose. But either way, we got a big old football game going on this weekend. Minnesota Vikings coming to town. Minnesota, definitely, I mean, they were right in there to be the number 1 seed. So going into this situation, going into this game, I like the matchup here. I like the way the Rams match up against Minnesota. And I am kind of, in my brain, just kind of ballparking a 10-point win for the Rams. That's just how I feel the game will unfold, a 10-point game. Like it did last time. I mean, ultimately, it really was more of an 8-point game with that last play there. But ultimately, I feel decent about this game. And I know that those kind of comments can always come back to bite you. But I think that the Rams are in a really good spot right now, getting into the playoffs. And being at home, I think, is absolutely massive. This is a team you've already beaten before in prime time. And that was also in week 8, so you get to kind of tell your young guys, your young defense and stuff like that, like, hey, you guys have already done this. Go do it again, kind of thing. So I'm here for it, man, and hopefully we get another game preview for you next week. And make sure you also check out Tuna and the Sheriff on Tuesday, as well, as we'll definitely be talking about this game and what happened in the super wild card weekend. But, of course, big old football game. Minnesota, Los Angeles Rams, wild card weekend, man. Let's keep it going. We need 4 more dubs to do a bunch of these. Heck yes, man. Fan Quesos next. Ram Showcase. All right, welcome back in Rams Showcase. I am Sheriff Joe Bags. Time to get into our Fan Quesos playoff edition of Fan Quesos. Yes, we are fired up about it, man. Let's get over to the Facebook page here. And let's see. Question number 1 coming from Tom. Is the stadium on fire yet? No, it is not and probably won't be. Fires are not necessarily that close to the stadium itself. I mean, I'm not in the area. I'm not from the area. Other people would be better people to talk to about this or anything. But ultimately, I think we're going to be fine as far as the game and all that stuff goes. I think that everything will happen at SoFi Stadium on Monday night. And no, the fire's not that close to SoFi Stadium. So, nope. Nope. Next few here coming from Edwin, emphasis on the win. Says, hey man, we made it to the playoffs. Let's go. Says, let's take a few seconds to bask in us believing in our team when we both kept hearing we weren't making the playoffs. Dude, me and you, man. I feel like it was me and you and then like 3 other dudes out here. So that was pretty fun, man. Yeah, I mean, literally, like you're saying, it's like to be in a situation where we're 1-4 and I'm still sitting here on the show like, hey, Raiders is winnable. This is winnable. We can turn this around. And then we did. I actually have some of those clips pulled, not all of them, but a good. I've been trying to pull some stuff from when the Rams were like not in the sickest of situations and trying to see like what I was saying because I was not as down as everybody else. And I know, Edwin, you were right in that grouping as well, man, being fired up and still believing. So, and I mean, it doesn't mean anything if you believe and you don't make it. And also on the flip side of that, it doesn't mean anything if you don't believe, and then it works. Like, everything's still okay, you know? If I'm not giving up in 2009 until we're mathematically eliminated, I was definitely not going to give up in this season, being 1-4. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, that's way too early in the season to be like, it's over, we're dead, you know? So, yeah. Getting into your quesos, though, Edwin. Number one, do you think our defense will send all-out pressure against Sam Darnold? I'm worried that we'll play soft on defense. If we do play soft on defense, we will need our individual efforts to be the reason that we're getting pressure on Sam Darnold. But I do think that based on what we saw last week, I do think that we see the Rams defense, Chris Shula, I think that we do hit the blitzing pretty heavy in this one. If it's not working early, then I think that we kind of shift away from it. But I think that's definitely something that we'll see in this game, man. Number two, when Stafford wins his second Super Bowl with us, is he a lock for the Hall of Fame? I think he's already going to the Hall of Fame, man. He's already, like, for sure, like one of the top, I'll give you 6 or 7 quarterbacks in the NFL in history. So, yeah, he's already going, man. He's way up there in all the numbers. He has a ring. So, yeah, I think that ultimately Matthew Stafford's a Hall of Fame quarterback. It's just a matter of when. So, yeah, I mean, but if he does win, obviously that just helps. But I think he's already a Hall of Fame lock. I think that I'm already going to go into those Canton hallways and see Matthew Stafford's bronze dome one day. You know what I mean? Which, by the way, if you've never been to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, do it, dude. It is, for a football fan, if you're a football fan, like I am, I mean, that is, oh, man. That's my review of it, is, oh, man. That's how cool it is. Next queso here from Edwin. Who has a better game, Williams or Kupp? I think that Williams has the better day here, man. But that's really just because I feel like the Rams hammer the run game in this matchup. I think that we hit it pretty hard. I think that the Rams will try to do everything they can to get that time of possession in our favor, keep our defense on the sideline as much as we possibly can. And so I think that'll be the plan. I don't think a couple necessarily play poorly in any realm, but yeah, says I think Kupp is going to go off against the Vikings, which I'm kind of starting to feel too, man. I really do feel like, and I don't want to sit here and say like because I'm never an I told you so guy. Like if I say something, if I guess something, and that actually is what happens, chances I actually bring it up again, slim to none, dude, because I'm just here for the love of whatever, man. Like, it's if I'm right about something, cool, move on. If I'm wrong about something, cool, move on. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. So I do think that ultimately, though, I say that to say that this year I have been more right than I have been wrong, and I feel like Cooper Kupp is going to have a big day in this one. I feel like I'll slot it in for you now, dude. I'm going to give him 112 receiving yards and a touchdown. I just feel like that's going to be pretty solid. But I also think the Puka will be like 117 and 2 touchdowns or something. So I think they'll be close. But I do think the Kupp has a good day here. Number 4, if you could put one more Ram in a Pro Bowl, who would you send? I would give it to Fisk. He is him. Fisk is obviously a great call. He was like 4th in defensive tackle Pro Bowl voting for like most of the year. And I don't know where he landed. I don't watch the Pro Bowl. I haven't since like Steven Jackson played in it. I don't even know what it looks like anymore. I'm like 98% sure they don't even play a game anymore, but I don't actually know. I take that week off completely. I'm not a footballer that weekend. I don't care about the Pro Bowl at all, actually. Like minimal, negative care about the Pro Bowl. I don't even know actually what they do. Like, I'm kind of trying to figure it out as I'm talking. I'm trying to kill time to be like, oh yeah, they do that now. Like, I think it's flag, but I'm not even fully confident in that. Anyway, who would I send? I would send Kyren Williams, man. First of all, so rude for only one Pro Bowler to get in. But I mean, at the same time, man, I don't know. The Pro Bowl is, in my mind, only something that matters at the end of your career when you get to say, 8-time first team All Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler. So that's it. It's a resume tag. So Kyren Williams is who I would have given it to. I think that he definitely had a season that would have been considered a top 3 in the NFC. but hey, who am I? So, well, whatever, But yeah, I would go with Kyron. Fisk is a great call, though. And can we see Carl with his Rams helmet? No, because Carl is a cat. And if you know anything about cats, he's not wearing this. All right. He's not. I've tried so many times, and I will continue to try, in fairness. And if I ever get him to sit there, even for just a good amount of time, I will take a picture of this on his head. But alas, right now, no, you cannot see it because I can't even see it on him. So yeah, let's see here. Let's head over to the YouTube channel here. We got 12 of them here. We're just going to go plow down the list here. It's a mix of Rams House, Payo Time. We got Paul hopping in as well. So let's roll. Rams House in the playoffs once again, baby. Yeah! Dude, I'm so fired up about this, dude. To get more extra games, because I'm here for whatever. You know what I mean? Rams could go winless, 0-17. I'm still here doing the episodes. I'm still gearing up on Sundays. I'm still going out and watch the games. I don't care. I'm here for all of it. The thing for me in my own brain is the fact that we literally just get more Rams game days. My favorite thing in the universe is a Rams game day. So the more of those, the happier I am. You know what I mean? So we're in there, man. And this brings us to a good 55 hours of Rams football played this year. So hopefully we can keep on pushing that. But yeah, we'll get 52 regularly. I mean, if games are only going for 3 hours or whatever. But still, man, just to get an extra game, I talk about that all the time. My win is the game. That's my win, is getting together with some Rams homies, getting some beers going, getting some high fives rolling, man. That to me is the win. And if the Rams lose, well, I still had a great day with my homies, and I got to watch my squad, which is my favorite thing in the universe to do. So there's more games in a happy Joe Bags. Anyway, getting into your question here, I kind of went on a tangent there. Let's see. I remember losing my mind when we made it back in the postseason in 2017 for the first time in years. To see what we've now gone to the playoffs in 6 of the last 8 years, made 2 Super Bowl appearances, won 1, is incredible. Way to go, McVay, Snead, Demoff, and Kroenke. Oh, to have more than a functional front office. Absolutely. There's no question there, but I do appreciate everything you said there, because you're absolutely right, dude. I mean, to go from what we did, where our last playoff game in the city of St. Louis came in 2005, to be in the playoffs regularly, and where missing it is the surprise, where missing the playoffs is the weird thing now under the McVay regime. I'm absolutely here for it, man. So, as that's not a question, I do agree. I have nothing. I have no rebuttals for your comment there. And Payo time, serious question. Serious time. All right. Kobe Turner sings at your wedding, birthday, or some form of celebration. What song would you want him to sing first? And it's so weird to me that in my brain, my very first thing that came into my head was, Kiss from a Rose from Seal, obviously. And I don't know why that's the first song that comes in my head, but I know he would nail it. But other than that, man, I would go with The Smoke Is Going Down by the Scorpions or something. Give me see, it wouldn't make sense for a celebration, but Disturbed's Uninvited Guest done by Kobe Turner, dude. It wouldn't make sense for a celebration, though. That's not like a wedding song or anything, But yeah, Uninvited Guest from Disturbed. If I saw Kobe Turner sing that, dude, that would be top tier. I love that song. It's off of one of their albums that's probably the least popular, but I really liked it. That Evolution album, very, very good. Disturbed is my favorite band of all time, if you don't know that. But yeah, man. Or there's honestly anything. Kobe Turner could sing the Reading Rainbow theme song, and I'll be like, this is great. He's just good at everything, dude. Good at everything. Top tier human being, Kobe Turner. Next one here from Rams House. Last time the Rams played Minnesota, the Vikings didn't blitz much at all. Surprising to me, considering that's their identity, and we're still pretty beat up. We were still pretty beat up on the offensive line. Do you think they blitz much more this time? If so, how do you see that changing the outlook of this game? I think that ultimately we will try to see Well, first of all, our offensive line's been playing great. Second of all, I do think that we see the ball get out fast. I think that we see a pretty heavy run game. I think we see a pretty heavy screen game. And I think that if we do see a lot more blitzes, then we'll adjust to that in the second half, see a lot more misdirection. I think we'll see some jet sweeps, some jet sweep play action to the other side, stuff like that, just to kind of keep them a little bit honest on that stuff. But you're right. They didn't really blitz that much on us. I feel like they maybe just thought they had a good matchup on it. And to start the game, it wasn't really working out, I guess. But yeah, ultimately, man, I would say that I don't think it'll change what I think our game plan is going to be, if that answers your question. So yeah, but either way, I think that both teams should be pretty blitz heavy in this one, and I think that both teams have the ability to counter it, but we'll see how it all goes. Rams House, love McVay's mantra, respect all but fear none. Heck yes, dude. Says, what were your thoughts when you first saw that? I mean, I kind of just was like, yep. Like, that's really it, man. I wasn't like, ooh, should put that on a t-shirt. I was just like, yeah, naturally. Like, respect. I'm not scared of Minnesota. I respect Minnesota for what the season that they had. This is one of the best seasons that franchise has ever seen. So yeah, I respect them. They've got one of the best players, best wide receivers. I would say second best wide receiver. You can't put them above Moss yet. But yeah, so yeah, definitely respect him, man. But yeah, well, my thoughts when I saw that, I didn't really have like a defining thought, I would say. I just was like, yeah, naturally. It just sounds like a McVay thing, honestly. So yeah, nothing too crazy. Payo time. If you could interview a Rams player that is not considered a household name, who would you pick? I suspect you would be cool with anyone, but is there someone specific you could see being a good 2-hour plus interview? Ooh, 2-hour plus interview. I'm not in for a 2-hour plus interview. But yeah, man, there's a bunch of names I would like to dive into. Bobby Brown would be really, really fun. I think a Kevin Dotson, and I don't even know if these are considered household names or not. In fairness, I don't know that part of I'm too close to the fire. You know what I mean? Like I'm warm by the heat of the fire that is the Los Angeles Rams. So to say that somebody isn't a household name, I don't know that, because they're a name in this household. I know that much. So I would assume that like linemen probably don't get tossed around in the average household as often. That's why I'm going Kevin Dotson there. Steve is more of what I would consider a household name, I think. And that's just because he was a high draft pick and stuff like that. And he kind of gets bounced. He's been like Santa for 2 years and stuff. But yeah, Bobby Brown, K-Dot, give me Darian Kendrick. I would love that one. I'm still a big Kendrick fan. I'm not off that train yet. I will see if he comes back and stuff like that, but I like DK. Let's see. Dude, back in the day, I would have said Russ Yeast. I don't know why that name popped into my head. Christian Roseboom, I don't know how many people really know him, I would say. So, I mean, yeah, man, you're right. Yeah, I would absolutely be down with anybody. Give me Demarcus Robinson, give me Hunter Long. I don't care. Alex Ward, dude, come on, join the show, man. Hop in and let's have a chat. Not for 2 hours though. If I'm ever doing a 2-hour interview, just know I'm not thrilled about it. At any time. Next one here from Paul. Do you think Kupp will have his role reduced as a starting receiver this Monday? No, I do not. And the reason that I say that, Paul, is because he sat this week. I think that information is being ignored largely by Rams fans. And I think in fairness, it's because his numbers haven't been there. But if Sean McVay and the Rams think that he is important enough to the playoff run to not even risk him in a Week 18 game, I think that tells you all you need to know about where he stands on this roster. So no, I don't think his role is reduced as a starting receiver. Puka Nacua is our top guy. I don't think that should blow anybody's minds off their heads or whatever, however you say that. But either way, no, I don't think Kupp is. That's it. I've made my point on it. I think what I've said makes sense. I'm trying to reword it, but I think I've done a good job of saying that he was held out last week. So that tells you all you need to know about how McVay and the team plans on utilizing him in the playoffs, I would say. Next up, Rams House. What would it be like sharing a room with Braden Fisk? Fisky business. Don't know, actually. I don't know a ton about Braden Fisk, personality-wise. I'm just going to throw out a guess here because I don't know enough about Braden. I'll say he probably would get me back into video games, and I don't know why. I don't know why I feel like Braden Fisk plays video games, but I feel like he does. I haven't held a controller in years. I don't even know. I had a 360. I gave it to my nephews. But I don't play video games anymore. But I feel like he would just do it, and I'd just be like, yeah, sure. I've got a couple hours to kill. What am I doing? So, most unsung hero of the 2024 Rams season from Rams House. Unsung hero. That's a tough one, man. There was a gap in there, middle of the season, that I would easily go to Marcus Robinson because he was kind of killing it there for a bit and really like keeping the Rams offense the head above water kind of thing was kind of how I felt about DeMarcus Robinson there for a bit. Give me Rob Havenstein on that list. Kevin Dotson as well. Give me Michael Hoyt on that list. Give me a Christian Roseboom for really turning his season around, man. He had Rams fans running him out of the city, dude. And then now everybody's like, all right, you're cool. That's a tough one, man, because I think that there's a lot of guys that we could consider unsung heroes. I mean, especially if you start looking at guys like Jalen McCullough, where it's like, who is this? The best safety in the NFL is undrafted rookie this year for the Rams? Hell yeah, that's awesome. So, yeah, there's a lot of names you could toss out in that world for sure. But, yeah, those guys I feel good about saying. Next one here from Rams House. If McVay hired you for this week to come up with an offensive and defensive game plan to face the Vikings, what would your game plan look like? Be as basic or advanced as you'd like in your answer. I'm going to go basic because this is not a breakdown film kind of show. This is more of a storyline kind of show, so I do like to stick with that. I could try to break down some stuff if I wanted to and talk about X's and O's and all that jazz, but I like to keep it not that. It's never been the show. There's other places for that. Anyway, I say that to say I'm just going to keep this one pretty basic. And what I would do on the offensive side here is I'd make sure that, first of all, we get at least 18 runs out of Kyron. All right. I was hammering that earlier. I do think that that's a very real thing. Okay. Anything under 18 carries, Sean McVay needs to serve some time. So that part of it. And then also for the defensive side, give me creative and exotic blitzes all day long. I'm sending Cam Curl. I'm sending Kobe Durant. I'm sending in Spates and Roseboom on one play. I'm sending in Quentin Lake here. You know what I mean? I'm going all over the place, random. You don't know who's coming on any play. Any play, you have no idea who's coming. That's my defensive game plan. On the offensive side, just make sure you're playing smart. Get it to third and short. First downs are huge for the Rams, and we've kind of seen that all season. When the Rams are able to get 5, 6, 7 yards on first down, they're winning those football games. When they're getting 2 or -3, they're losing those football games. First down's going to be big. Run the ball on first down, or get those plays where you can get 2nd and 5. Because when you're set 2nd and 13 all of a sudden, it's a very different situation. So that's what I would go with on the offensive side. Defensive side, never know who's coming. You would have no idea at any moment. Kobe Turner dropping back into coverage while Quentin Lake's blitzing? Hell yeah, dude. Sign me up, dude. Just chaos, man. Have it so every single snap, they're like, I don't even know who to block here. No idea. Don't know who's coming. That's what I would do. Next one here from Payo Time. What is your favorite food to eat or to snack on while watching a Rams game? Or are you a no food with the Rams guy? Stress eating is real. It is real, man. I'm more of just a French fry guy. I'll say this. I think that you wing eaters during a football game are the most chaotic people I've ever encountered in my wings, dude, during football. Are you kidding me? That is the worst food to eat during a football game. How are you supposed to high five all your homies when your hands are covered in wing sauce, dude? I don't get it. I don't understand wings during a football game. Get your wings the hell out of here. In fact, wings are like the last thing on my game day. No, get that out of here, dude. Get that out of here. I need something that is not going to make my fingers all disgusting and stuff. Because I need to be able to, at the drop of a hat, man. You don't know when we're going to get a blocked punt against the Buffalo Bills for a touchdown. You have no idea when that's going to happen. You're going to be sitting there with zesty, I'm trying to think of a sauce. You're going to be sitting there just with, some sauce on your hands and trying to high five everybody in the most unexpected moment because you get a block out of nowhere, dude? Kidding me? Get that mess out of here, dude. Get that out of here. Yeah, give me something basic. Something, first of all, single hand. Give me a single hand food. So, like, sandwiches, great. That's sandwiches. French fries, solid. I don't know. There's a lot of things I don't like to eat with the Rams. I'm also I'm a stander. I'm not a sitter for the Rams game. I don't sit down during the Rams game. I haven't sat down during a Rams game in years. Like, I think, well, this year at SoFi, because we had this friggin' loser Packer fans behind us who were down in front. Like, get out of here then, dude. Anyway, I was about to get so mad at those people again. But no, I'm not a big eater when it comes to the Rams game. I like to eat at halftime. You get a nice little 13-minute gap in there, plow through something real quick, and then get ready for the second half, you know what I mean? So, yeah, let me know what you do, though, dude. I know you do the streams usually, so I don't know if you're eating on that. If you are, hilarious. But I just picture you just sitting there, it's just like 5 minutes of silence, just chewing. And you're like, hey, first down. So yeah, I think I answered your question. Next up, Rams House. Last few here come from Rams House. What were you most wrong about with this Rams team, and what were you most right about with this Rams team? What I was most wrong about with this Rams team was a hot start. I thought we were going to come in a lot hotter on the season than we did. In fairness, there was a lot of injuries and stuff like that, so obviously that has to be considered. I would say I was hammering that Kupp is going to be the number one guy again. Like, Kupp is back, dude. Like, we're going to get 2021 Cooper Kupp out here. I was wrong about that. I was wrong about our secondary. I'm not in love with our secondary. I like these players a lot. Like, I like Darius Williams a lot. I really like Akello Witherspoon. I like Kobe Durant. I like these guys a lot. But, like, Akello had a mostly poor game last week, and then against the Arizona, had mostly a poor game. Had a couple of really big plays in the end zone, but ultimately was having a day where I was like, oh my gosh, Kello's kind of getting wrecked right now. We were talking about that as we were watching the game. So I just think that inconsistencies there. I thought that we would be a lot better in the secondary, and I thought that the front of the defense was going to be the weak spot. That actually is where our strength is, and our secondary is where our concerns are, I suppose, I guess I should say. I don't know. Depending on whatever word you want to use there. Fill it, Mad Libs that yourself, all right? So for whatever you want to use. But I would say that I opposite on our secondary, or our defense. I thought that the front was going to be the weak spot and the back end was going to be the strength. That is flipped. And yeah. So, and what was I most right about? That the team would turn it around. 1-4, I wasn't selling any stock. I was kind of still sitting here like, yo, looking at the schedule, we can do this. We can turn this around for sure. And especially it's like, and I was even looking at it's like the division. I remember even making a comment of like, let's let Arizona have their fun in first place because it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, I was saying that. So, yeah, I'd say that's what I was most right about, is that the Rams would turn it around, and we're in the playoffs now. So cool stuff. Next one here from Rams House. Would you rather play Whittington or Atwell more at this point? I understand they're different style receivers, but who would you like to see heading into the playoffs? I would go Whittington, actually. I think we know what Tutu Atwell does, and we know what he does well, and he does those things, and he does those things well. But I think that Jordan Whittington is more versatile. I think that he's got more in his skill set to bring. He doesn't have the speed that Tutu has, but I think that ultimately he does have just a wider range of skills that he brings to the offense. So I would say Whittington. And again, I think that Atwell is in his final 4 games as a Ram. I think it's these final 4 for the playoffs, and then I think that's it. So thank you for your fan quesos. We got a big old playoff game this weekend. Minnesota Vikings at the Los Angeles Rams. 4 seed for the Rams, 5 seed for the Vikings, and of course it's going to be awesome if all home teams win. Of course, Rams will be heading off to Detroit if there's at least one road team that wins. Things get a little bit mixed up, so we'll keep our eyes on it, but we'll know by the end of our game exactly where we are going, because the Rams get the final game of Super Wild Card Weekend. Monday Night Football for this action, SoFi Stadium. It's going to be an awesome one. Thanks for joining me. We'll be back at it next week, no matter what, as hopefully we get 3 more game previews after this one. How does that sound? So thanks for hanging out. Make sure to check out Tuna and the Sheriff That's going to be every Tuesday night. Ram Showcase Facebook page and First and Tuna YouTube channel. At Sheriff Joe Bags, at Ram Showcase, ramshowcase.com. That's where you can follow along. But I am Sheriff Joe Bags. This has been Ram Showcase on Sports War Radio and the Fan-Sided Network. For those of you who aren't Rams fans, our thoughts and prayers are with you. For those of you who are Rams fans, thank you so much for watching, and go Rams.